In today's lesson, we're going to be solving multi-step equations where the variables are on different sides of the equation. So if we take a look at the directions, they say to solve each equation for the missing variable, and importantly, to be sure to check your answers. So if we take a look at number 1 here, we have 4k minus 8 equals 10k minus 20. Now, just like any other time we're solving equations, the first thing we want to do is look at the terms with the variables in them. And we can see now that we have two terms with variables and they're on opposite sides of the equal sign. So we actually have like 4 different ways of correctly solving this equation, all right? But my advice is to always start with the variables. And so we're only going to be working with the 4k and the 10k to start out. Now, we have 2 different ways to proceed from here, all right? If we draw a line down through the equal sign, we could subtract 4k from both sides. And if we do that, on the left-hand side, 4k minus 4k is 0k, so the 4k's cancel out. And on the right-hand side, we have a 10k minus 4k, which would give us 6k. All right, notice the coefficient, the 6 is positive. All right, now our other option is to subtract, oops, let me get rid of a couple of things here. Our other option is to subtract the 10k from both sides. Now, if we do that, on the left-hand side, we'll have 4k minus 10k, and that gives us a negative 6k. On the right-hand side, 10k minus 10k is 0k, so they cancel out. So this strategy works just fine, but notice that our variable has a negative coefficient. I like to keep mine positive, so I'm going to go back to the first way we did it. So as you recall, what I'm going to do is subtract the 4k from each side. So now, on the left-hand side, 4k minus 4k is 0k. And on the right-hand side, we have 10k minus 4k gives us a positive 6k, which is what I like, a nice positive coefficient in front of the variable. And then I'll bring down the minus 20. Now on the left-hand side, it's important to note here, when we subtract the 4k minus 4k, we get 0k, but then we have minus 8. All right, so on the left-hand side, that's going to become a negative 8. And so our new equation is negative 8 equals 6k minus 20. So from here, it's just your standard 2-step equation. So we're going to add 20 to both sides. And now on the left side, we'll have a negative 8 plus 20, which gives us a positive 12, equals, and on the right-hand side, we have a 6k, and we have minus 20 plus 20, or in other words, a negative 20 plus 20 is 0, so they just cancel each other out. And now we can divide both sides by 6. To get k equals positive 2. So now we have to do the check. So what we're going to do is we have to rewrite the equation exactly the way they gave it to us. And we need to substitute. We need to replace the variables with our solution of 2. So I'm going to substitute the 2 in there for k. So we have 4 times 2 minus 8. Equals 10 times 2 minus 20. And now I'll use order of operations to evaluate, and hopefully we get the same thing on both sides. 4 times 2 is 8. So on the left-hand side, I have 8 minus 8, and on the right-hand side, I have 10 times 2 is 20, and then I have a minus 20. Now, 8 minus 8 is 0, and 20 minus 20 is 0. So it checks. Our answer is k equals 2. Number 2, the equation says negative 3x minus 11 equals 15 minus 5x. Now what we like to do, we like to draw our line straight down right through the equal sign. Whatever we do to the left side, we better do to the right. So when we solve an equation like this, what we like to do is we like to have a positive coefficient. By no means do you have to get a positive coefficient in front of the variable, but that's something that we like to try to do. So don't write this down yet, but if we were to add 3x to both sides, it looks like we're going to be stuck with still 15 minus 2x there. Let's avoid that. So rather than adding 3x to both sides, a better idea is to add 5x to both sides. The reason why we want to add 5x to both sides is because now in the left side here, negative 3x plus 5x is a positive 2x. So we have 2x minus 11 equals 15. Now, because we have our variable on our left side, we're kind of forced to move that minus 11 or that negative 11 to the right side. In order to do that, we have to use inverse operations. So I see a subtraction of 11. We have to add 11 to both sides. Now we're left with 2x equals 26. In order to get x by itself, I see that 2x, that's connected by multiplication. So we have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. X equals 26 divided by 2, 13. Now, before we fully commit and say that that is absolutely our answer, let's go ahead and do a check. The best way to do that is to rewrite your equation now with 13 substituted in for the variable. So we have negative 3 times 13 minus 11 equals 15 minus 5 times 13. Let's follow order of operations. I see multiplication. Negative 3 times 13 is a negative 39, minus 11 equals 15 minus, 5 times 13 is 65. I can see that negative 39 minus 11 is a negative 50. 15 minus 65 is also negative 50. Because negative 50 equals negative 50, that statement is true. And we know that the answer to an equation is the value of the variable that makes the equation true. That being said, our answer is x equals 13.